Yes, so today we are talking about the projector energy type. We're going to look specifically at what does it mean to receive the invitation? What does it mean to be recognized? And then some of the challenges around the energy type and attuning to your strategy and authority. Now, before we get into all of that, what I wanted to say is I absolutely love the projector energy type. I'm a manifesting generator. Yes, I try to masquerade as a projector at times. I've said this before on my YouTube recordings. And what I mean is this clearly, as a manifesting generator, I align with the characteristics of the man gen, right? I have this abundance of energy. I use this life force energy. I'm constantly on the move. I'm constantly trying new things. And I can move 0 to 60 in seconds, right? In 0 to 60, I guess it's 0 to 60 seconds. But what I realized as I reflect and I experiment with my design is that you gain wisdom, right? And that's why everyone says this is to experiment. The experimentation has gained wisdom, and the wisdom has allowed me to have the insight to know that a lot of the ways that I moved in the past was that of a false sense of security, was that of lack, was that of scarcity. Yes, because you can move quickly doesn't mean you need to, but I was moving quickly because of my conditioning and programming taught me that you need to constantly go after what you want. I'm at a place now where I see the beauty in responding. And I think the prerequisite to really tap into any of your energy types is to have faith. Whether I'm a projector or a manifesting generator or any other energy type, the prereq to really aligning with your truth is having faith in your design. So as you're experimenting, really getting out of your head and into your body, and aligning this intrinsically. And I believe that as you do, something beautiful happens. It's like the universe opens up. It's like you step into this portal, and the gifts that you meant to have, you receive. And as you tap into your gifts, now you're at a place where you can take those gifts and you can share that with the world, with others, with your family, with loved ones, with the community, with the collective, whatever the case may be. But it's like, in order to really tap into that gift and utilize it the way you're meant to, the way you're designed, you have to have trust and faith and belief. And then you can align with your truth. And that's when it comes out. Sometimes we think we need to approach things logically. Someone said to me, human design is too high level. It's not processed and detailed enough. It's almost like they want to approach this like the way they would approach a math equation. I want to say that things don't always need to be that way. Matters of the heart and matters of the soul are not always calculated logically and rationally. Sometimes what seems abstract is only abstract because you haven't given it enough time and you haven't experimented enough. And when you start to experiment with your design and you give it time, that abstract concept actually starts to become very detailed. And then you start to see the signs, the symbols, the synchronicities, because they start to come to you. And because what you couldn't see before, you can now see. So the things where you weren't making connections, you start to make connections. Things that you couldn't feel in your body, you start to notice in your body. It's a language. My only ask to everyone is give it the time. How long would it take for you to master a language? How long would it take for you to be extremely fluent in the language? Be able to speak to anyone, be able to write in that language. Do you understand? I know everyone understands what I'm saying. I feel called to speak to this because I do believe that we've been conditioned and programmed to believe that there's a way to solve everything and to maneuver through this world. So we take that approach and we apply it to our life. And then when a new concept comes in, we use that formula and we filter that new concept based on the formula we've received. And we're like, oh, no, it doesn't compute, doesn't work with the formula we've been taught and conditioned. So we throw out this modality, we throw out that modality. We say, oh, meditation sucks because I'm in my head too much, and human design is too high level, and hypnosis doesn't work, and breath work doesn't work because it doesn't fit the box, right? And that in itself is conditioning. So, sorry, I'm going off a little bit, but I felt called to say that. And whoever needed to hear that, they'll hear it. And if you didn't, then I apologize. I'm passionate. That's my passion. So let me move on because we're here to talk about projectors. So projectors are one of the newest energy types. They came in existence in 1781, and they make up about 23% of the population, right? Projectors have this penetrating aura, and they're able to tap into other people's energy to see the unseen, right? A projector can simply, by watching an energy type, intuitively know how that other person can maximize their energy and their potential. And this makes them natural guides. The goal for many of us is to shift away from the false self, the small self, the not self, to our authentic self, our higher self, and our true self. Because when we're living out of alignment, we're living in the small self. And that's when we use our energy ineffectively. And that's when we have more overwhelm, frustration, burnout in our lives. The goal is to align with our truth. And as we step into our truth, what's meant for us is really going to come out. And this is the beauty of the projector energy type, right? They're able to tap into other auras, discern how they're using their energy and what's the best way for them to use their energy so they can begin to use their energy more effectively, right? They're here as guides so that they can guide us to a better way of maneuvering through this world, right? It's not about moving in a way that's aligning with our false self, but it's through the guidance of the projector that we align with our true self, our higher self. Now, in order to use their energy effectively, the strategy is to wait for the invitation and recognition, right? You want to wait for the invitation of others before you provide guidance to others, right? The idea is once you receive that invitation and once you're recognized for your gifts, now you can use those gifts to help others and guide others to a way that's in more alignment for them. And what happens is typically someone will see something that you're doing, recognize you for that, and then may ask you, how can I have some of what you're doing? Can you share that with me? Can you partner with me? Or in another case, it may be, how can I have that for myself? Can you teach me what you're doing? Right? It can come in so many different ways. They might see something you're doing. Can you guide me so I can go on and do that myself? Right? But that's what it looks like to receive the recognition. Someone sees something in you that they deem valuable, and that motivates them to take some form of action. Now, the reason that waiting for the invitation is so important is because when you're not waiting, you're taking action, you're initiating. And yes, there will be several people who will say, well, of course you have to take action. Of course you have to move, Patrick, because how else would you get anything done? And how else would you get what you want in life? And that, my friend, is conditioning and programming talking, right? To me, this is a paradigm shift that we need to break down, and we need to dispel the belief that projectors need to constantly chase and initiate and go after the things that they want. Personally, I feel that we initiate because of programming and classical conditioning. But as we shift and change and raise our consciousness, we understand that this is not necessarily the way that we need to create. And I feel that anyone who challenges you and says, no, you need to initiate in order to create what you want, because that's how true success is made. I think you need to take a step back and also look at them and understand that, sometimes people say this because they're aligned to a certain level of consciousness. And they are also subjected to the conditioning and programming that we're subjected to. So people with a certain level of consciousness might try to push you to conform to the same boxes that they've conformed. But because you have an awareness, projectors, and you know that, when I'm in my truth, I can wait. And waiting is not waiting. Waiting is actively waiting. And when I'm in this state of waiting, what I want will come to me. So I don't have to necessarily create from the same space that other people create from. I create in a place that's aligned for me. Projectors are designed to be recognized and invited. And this works perfectly with their design, right? They don't have this sacred defined, meaning they don't have this consistent access to life force energy. So they need to be mindful as to how they use their energy. And for the non-energy types, they need to work in a way that is suited for them. We are all uniquely created, but at some point we were all told that we're meant to work the same way. And sometimes we need to ask ourselves, where did this belief and notion come from that we all need to work the same? To me, it's such a prehistoric concept, the fact that everyone should follow the same script and same formula in order to receive success, because that's simply not true. And it's when we don't stop long enough to ask these questions is when our actions lead to overwhelm, burnout, frustration, and misalignment. As projectors, you're not meant to be like everyone else. You're meant to be recognized, and you're meant to be invited to the things that are right for you. That's when you align into your gifts, and that's when you step into your truth. And if someone doesn't recognize you and you're not invited for something, they're missing out, not you. It's not about conforming and doing what everyone else is doing, but it's doing what's right for you. And that's how you align with who you're meant to be in this world. And I do feel like I'm preaching. This is a baptism. Like, we're going away to the water and we're washing away our sins. We're washing away the things that have tethered us down to this belief that we need to do everything that others do. I'm saying we. See, I'm including myself in this projector talk, but it's projectors need to be like everyone else when you don't. right? It's really a matter of aligning with your truth, paying attention to what you're being recognized for. And when you're invited, those people want to hear what you have to say. And that's when you start to create something beautiful. It's not about constantly chasing. It's not about listening to the programming, nor is it about like being any other energy type. But it's when we align with our truth and we have faith that by aligning with our truth, we will call in what we want. That's when the miracles happen, right? This is about trusting your instinct, trusting your intuition, and having faith. It's about getting out of the mind and into the body. It's about breaking away from conditioning and trusting who you're meant to be. And this is where a lot of people say, well, this is where I have some challenges, Patrick. I have challenges getting out of the head and into the body and trusting. I have challenges waiting for the invitation or waiting for the recognition. And I think these are things that we all can understand. But I'd even want to dispel or not even use the word challenge, right? When it comes to our human design, our energy type, when we say that this is going to be challenged, it's almost like we're accepting this waking suggestion, right? The subconscious believes what you tell yourself. Think of affirmations, for instance, right? It's the same idea. So every time I say that this is going to be challenging for me, my design is going to be challenging, waiting is going to be challenging, waiting for the recognition is going to be challenging. It almost becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy because we're telling our subconscious that this is going to be challenging, and then we're going to attract more of this into our life. And I would prefer that we looked at it as this is a shift in a paradigm or perspective. I need to look at waiting from a different perspective. I need to look at recognition differently than I looked at before. It's not necessarily challenging. It's just a different way of looking at it than I've looked at it before. So I'm adjusting to the shift and change. Give yourself that grace period to shift and change and understanding that you're taking on and you're embarking on something new. You're learning a new language. But I'm not going to resist the language because I didn't get it right away. I'm going to give it the time that it takes, right? It's in this incubation period. Having a baby doesn't take 3 months. It takes 9 months for a reason. So whatever time that you need, allow yourself that, but don't start peppering yourself with, this is challenging, this is difficult, this is hard, I can't do it, this doesn't work. Therefore, it's more shifting that perspective and saying, because this is different, I need to give it time. Because this is different, I need to give it patience. Because this is different, I'm going to do the work required so that I can be recognized and so that I can be invited to the things that I'm meant to be invited to. And it's because most people are living like manifestors. The messaging within our dominant culture clearly says, if you want something in life, just go after and just do it, right? It's embedded in the fabric of our society, and it's reinforced by everyone, our parents, teachers, our partners, our friends, your husband, your wife, social media, corporate culture, and the list goes on. Like everyone knows someone that has said, the reason for my success is because I worked hard. And they wear it like a badge of honor, right? Like I worked hard and I went for what I wanted. And I think there's something beautiful about that. But I think you have to take it with a grain of salt, right? Historically, the messaging in our culture has been this way, which is why our parents subscribe to this belief and impose this belief on us, right? They raise us from childhood, where we are most impressionable, to believe that this is what we're supposed to do to feel successful, to feel happy, to feel valued. And once this belief is impressed in our subconscious, well, it's expressed in our outside world. As a projector who's been conditioned in programming, you may resist your design and energy type, right? And you will feel uncomfortable, like I mentioned earlier, when someone tells you, well, you have to wait for the recognition and you have to wait for the invitation before you can proceed. You're going to be like, well, why do I have to wait? I've heard this before, right? How many projectors have said, well, why do I have to wait? And the other energy types just don't. Like, what am I waiting for? And how long do I have to wait? And why can't I initiate? And this doesn't seem fair. I'm not sure if I like this idea of the projector energy type. It feels more crippling than encouraging and inspiring and empowering. It feels like you're removing something from me, then you're giving me something. And there is a great place for us to look at, well, where is that idea coming from? Why do I feel that something's been taken away from me versus I feel like I'm gaining something, it's empowering, inspiring? Why do I feel like it's the opposite? right? You'll hear projectors say, well, okay, well, how long do I have to wait before I can initiate then? Okay, like how long this waiting period? And I think what I'm asking people to recognize is the language in itself shows the discomfort with the energy type. It shows that it doesn't fit with what I'm used to because I've been told I need to go. So now I feel lazy. I feel like I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm not being efficient. And that in itself is resistance. And that's the first place that I want us to notice when we have a resistance with our energy type, right? And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I want us to be consciously aware as to how we respond to our energy type, right? We're talking about how we create. And at a conscious level, we may want to identify with our energy type and say, oh, okay, I need to wait. So it says projectors have to wait. Got it. At a subconscious level, how are you responding to that? Do you feel frustrated? Do you feel bitter about it? Are you saying this is not fair? Why do I have to wait this way? Because we are 95% subconscious, 5% conscious. What we draw into our life and how we act and how we behave typically comes from our subconscious. So at a subconscious level, if you truly feel frustrated, bitter about your energy type, and you feel like it's not fair and you feel like it's limiting, and you feel like when I wait, nothing happens, you're going to draw those experiences towards you, right? So it's important for us to be aware of the language of our subconscious. Although consciously we want to identify with our energy type, at a subconscious level, we're resisting it. Same goes for affirmations. If I tell myself that I think I'm smart and beautiful, but I really don't believe that, I need to do more work at the subconscious level so that there's an alignment, so that what happens below happens above. Sometimes we're trying to change something consciously that resides deep down in our subconscious. And that change doesn't always happen overnight. But that does explain sometimes why we have resistance around our energy types. But then we don't even know why we have resistance around it because we're consciously trying. We're reading about our energy type. We're speaking to human design readers. We're trying to practice certain things. We understand that it says wait, but then we can't understand why there's this feeling of irritation and frustration and bitterness towards the same design that's meant to set us free. And it could be connected to an experience we had in the past. It could be part of conditioning and programming, but ultimately it is buried deep within. And it's like until we satisfy that emotion, tap into it at a subconscious level, we won't really understand why we have so much resistance towards what we're trying to move forward to. Now, the second challenge we have when at a conscious level, we try to align with our design, our projector, waiting for the invitation of recognition. But at a subconscious level, we don't believe it, is we attract more of these experiences towards us. As for the laws of vibration, your thoughts carry energy, your emotions carry energy. And the way it works is energy surrounds your physical body, right? Your body will attune to the frequency that will attract like energy towards it, right? So we attract what we are, not what we want. So if I use human design as an example, maybe your human design says you should wait for the recognition and wait for the invitation. And maybe this is something that you want to consciously do, but at a subconscious level, doing so doesn't feel right. So at a subconscious level, you express feelings of frustration, lack, scarcity, doubt that waiting is going to work. And all those feelings, they carry energy, right? What will happen is those thoughts, those feelings that carry energy will carry a vibration, and that a vibration will send out a frequency, and that frequency will attract people, places, and circumstances that align to the belief that you're sending out, to the emotions that you're sending out. And then you will attract experiences in your life that align with this belief. And you will draw towards you people, places, and circumstances that will reinforce this belief. Right? This is a mirror. Everything in your outside world is a mirror. The Hermetic principle of correspondence states, as above, so below, as below, so above, meaning whatever you believe is impressed in the subconscious and expressed in the outside world. Meaning, if you harbor feelings of doubt, you will have experiences of doubt. If you carry beliefs of scarcity and fear, you will have experiences of scarcity and fear. And if you believe that waiting will not bring you what you want. So you need to take action and initiate. You will have experiences in your life that will mirror that belief, right? It's your experiences are a reflection of who you are and what you believe. Therefore, when you start to shift your thinking, you start to shift your belief, you say, I believe that waiting for the invitation and waiting for the recognition is the way I step into my truth. I know that by waiting for the recognition, waiting for the invitation, I feel happy, I feel successful, I'm in true alignment. I feel like the universe is bringing forth towards me everything that I need to become the person I'm meant to be, to step into my higher self. And as I wait, I discern the wrong opportunities from the right opportunities. As I wait, I receive the guidance that I need to move me towards the person that I'm meant to be. As I wait, and when I give people information, I'm recognized. And as I wait and I'm recognized, I can give forth the information people need so that they can step into their truth. And every time I do so, and every time I've done so, I align with my higher power, I align with the universe, and I become the person that I'm meant to be in this world. When you align with that belief and you put that out there and you believe that at a subconscious level and a conscious level, your circumstances will drastically change, right? It's through this that we begin to slow down. It's through this that we begin to become present. Your waiting is not just idly waiting. I'm actively waiting for what is meant for me so that I can take the next step. It's understanding how it feels in my body. It's understanding how it feels intrinsically. It's like the more I wait and the more I communicate and understand with this universe, I understand the cadence. I know when I've waited and I know when the right signal and I know when to move forward. I know when I set the intention and I know when I've set the ask. I know how it feels to be recognized. So I know that this is what I move forward on. I know that I'm moving from a place of my true self, my higher self, and what I believe. And this is my false self, my shadow, and I'm not going to move from this place, right? It's a language that I'm starting to develop. It's like they say, waiting creates the next step in the divine plan. And if I'm on the move, I'm not waiting. And if I'm on the move, how do I receive? But if I'm waiting, I can be in reception. When you learn to wait, you begin to flow. Your emotions. So it's not that you wait every step, but rather, since you've waited, and see the cadence and what it means to be in alignment. People call this synthropy. We don't want to be moving from a place of scarcity, because when projectors focus on initiating instead of waiting, you're using your energy in an unproductive way. As a result, you're going to experience overwhelm, bitterness, burnout, right? When you're using your energy incorrectly, you're going to experience energetic blocks, which may manifest as resistance from others. As you adapt a strategy of waiting, you're no longer living out of alignment. You're living in your truth. You're no longer initiating from this place of scarcity and fear, but you're trusting and you're waiting. And you know that as I wait, I move into what's meant for me, what's right for me, and who I'm meant to be. So let's talk about waiting for the invitation and break those down, right? Because an invitation can come from several different ways. Usually there's an energetic exchange where someone is calling you to share your gifts. And this can be an inquiry, a message, an email, a question. But it's usually an exchange of energy that is inviting you into action. An invitation can also be internal. The idea is, if you have internal insights, you don't necessarily have to wait for someone to invite you, right? Because you're already receiving a download, a channel, connection, a nudge from the universe. And that in itself is energy. And that energy is inviting you to take a form of action. If you think a desire same way can be a nudge. It can be a connection from the universe. It can be a synchronicity. Your desires want you as much as you want them, right? So you can be invited to move forth in that desire. And that desire is a calling from something divine. Now, with desires, you always want to make sure, is my desire coming from my truth self, my higher self, or my desire coming from my false self? Someone could say, well, I had a desire to drink a bottle of scotch because I had a hard day. And they could be like, I'm listening to my design, right? And that's what I mean. Like, we want to discern, is that desire coming from my truth? And when I speak of desires, I speak of a calling that's been given to you and gifted to you from the divine. So the divine says, this is your gift. So now you desire your gift, not I desire a shot of tequila on a Friday afternoon. And as we do our internal work, we begin to discern what is a true desire from the divine. and what is the desire of the personality, what is the desire from the soul, and what is does my ego desire. If
If I have the desire to work hard because I see other people on social media working hard, or I see things that my peers or my neighbors have, like keeping up with the Joneses. So I feel like, I want to work hard. I have this desire to work hard. That's not coming from an authentic, true place. When you always want to do the work and pay attention to, where is that desire coming from? Right now, I just wanted to clarify that because I know sometimes when people think of desires, they think, well, desires can be a bad thing. And especially if they're leading you away from your truth, they're leading you towards your not self, then the desire is not aligned with your truth, right? But if the desire is one of love, if the desire aligns you with your gift and the gift that you're supposed to have and the gift that you're supposed meant to bring forth into this world so you can shine and creatively express yourself, then that's a great desire, right? And if desire is not the word people like, you can look at another word, but ultimately it's about finding your truth by aligning with what you're meant to align to. And whether it's a pull or a desire or a calling or a nudge or an inkling, I'm referring to the same thing. This is something that we want to constantly be working on, right? So part of doing the work is taking the time to be with yourself. And as a projector, when you're with yourself and you're in a place of waiting, you can really discern what is truly meant for me and what isn't. What is the desire and what isn't a desire? What aligns with my truth and what doesn't? What aligns with my not self and what aligns with my higher self? When people are in a place of waiting, I think it's a good time to see and ask yourself, what can I work on in order to prepare myself in the journey I'm about to embark on? Do I need to grow in any places? Do I need to remove myself from any specific people, places, or things? Do I need to study, read, or learn about certain things? Do I need to adopt a certain mindset or belief? Or do I need to clear energy from my space? The clear energy that's preventing me from being the person that I want to be. Do I need to work on my energy so I can move into the light and not from the place of darkness? Do I need to practice stillness so I can be quiet, learn to quiet the mind, tap in the body, so I can begin to understand how it feels to receive this universal guidance? I think this discussion is so important because I feel as though we were never really been taught how to wait. We've always been conditioned to believe and programmed to believe that we need to chase and go after what we want. So you have everyone in this constant state of moving and chasing. And I'm not saying that initiating going after what you want is bad, but I'm also saying that learning to wait is not a bad thing. And there's great strength in waiting. There's a regal energy in waiting. There's an understanding in your body and your energy in waiting. There's an ability to tap into the universal signs and the energy around you so that you know that I'm replenishing and I'm learning and I'm growing as I wait. And then I move and I initiate or I create with purpose, which says I'm in tune with my body. I respect my energy and I don't have to move forward until it feels right. And at the moment, it doesn't feel right, despite what everyone is saying. Go after this, chase that, get that, initiate here. I respect my body and I love myself enough to really pay attention to what it says to me and not what the outer world and the noise and the chatter is constantly saying. For my projectors, I know you've grown up with a lot of energy types and you're constantly under the influence of going and pushing and moving and initiating and chasing. And then sometimes you look around your surroundings and you might say, okay, well, what's wrong with me? How come I don't have the energy to keep up? And I hate to break it to you, projectors, but there's nothing wrong with you. you know um, Sometimes when you surround yourself with people who have lower levels of consciousness and are so consumed by their five senses and what they see, they feel like, yes, chasing and pushing and moving is the way, and they push these beliefs onto you. Ultimately, my suggestion is do the Tao. Taoism talks about the harmony in conscious energy and the harmony in finding alignment in yourself and in your truth. You understand your energy and you understand what's right for you. So it's always remembering that, what you have is special. What you have is a gift. Your gift is not meant for everyone. If someone is going to invite you to something and recognize you, then they're ready to receive you and they're ready for the gifts that you have to offer. But if someone doesn't recognize you and someone doesn't see you and someone doesn't understand you, that's okay, because maybe they're not ready to receive you. Maybe they're not ready to receive what you have to offer. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Thank you again for tuning in. Please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you, everyone. Take care.